Hi, my name is Rod Cleef, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Cleef, and I'm thrilled you're here. And I know you're going to get value from the young man I'm interviewing today. It's a little unusual. It's not somebody with hundreds or thousands of doors. It's someone that's pretty much, just getting things rolling. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's already done a lot in a short amount of time, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this interview. And I think those of you that haven't started yet will get a lot of value. So his name is Kyle Root, and he's got, I think, a total of 25 rental properties, 14 are multifamily, and he's wanting to go bigger. Kyle, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, Rod. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you take a minute and talk about, what you were telling me before about your job and so on and so forth. Talk about, maybe why you got into real estate, when you got into real estate, and bring us to today, if you would.
Sure. Yeah. So I went to college in a small school in Michigan. My background is in construction, so I have a construction management degree. So early on, I was involved in a lot of like residential building, things like that. And the whole real estate side wasn't really a thought at the time. We were doing a lot of just small remodels. So I was able to kind of pivot some of that into my mind through a property development class that I took in school. And that really sparked things for me. That was my junior year in college. I took a property development course, and that really sparked a lot of things. We had some big time guys that were coming in and talking to us about, like we were talking about before getting on here, raising capital and buying commercial properties. And I was like, what? And, he was probably 45 years old, and he had just said, he was able to walk away from his job early. So that kind of got things rolling for me. So fast forward to out of college, I graduated, went on the road, traveled as a project manager, construction role, managing large construction projects. And anybody that's, lived that road life, it's not really that enjoyable. You're working long hours, you're away from your family. It's difficult to do. So I started reading some books. First one I ever read was the Burr Strategy. And another one that I read was The Greatest Deal Through Real Estate. I don't know if you ever heard of that one. It's not one that's highly sought after, but anyways, through my knowledge and just getting this foundation built, I just wanted to jump in. So I bought my first duplex a year and a half ago, and then since then just kind of started scaling real estate. So we're here now.
Now you kept your core job for a while, but I know that you left it, fairly early on. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So I only had 3 rental properties. I had 2 duplexes and a single family home. And it was just one Monday morning. I had been getting a lot of information. Some things started clicking in my brain with flipping houses and flipping properties, where I said, what if I gave this a real shot? And I had some capital built up, personal capital built up that I had to fall back on. Okay. So if everything went to crap, I was able to at least fall back on some of that. And I had a good rapport with my company. So I was able to, I'd be fine going back to them. But yeah, I had three rental properties. I left my job. That was 16 months ago. And we just started flipping properties and buying residential, multifamily, and a few single families in there, and just I kind of kept rolling.
Wow. So you accumulated that many more in 16 months. You said have you got a partner, or is this your spouse, or what?
No, I guess I say we. So I started hiring some. So I also started a construction group. One thing that we lacked in that I noticed early on was contractors and scheduling. So it was kind of one of those situations where it was, do we keep having this issue, or do we bring it in house? So I guess I don't like saying I over and over. Right. I started a construction group Brought in 3 guys, and they're strictly our kind of get in there and get some stuff done. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good. Obviously, the construction, background is fantastic framework for this business in any capacity, whether you're doing single family, multifamily, frankly, any asset class, doesn't even matter. That's a great foundation for this business. Now, you and I talked briefly before we started recording about what your game plan is moving forward. And why don't you tell my audience what it is you want to do now? I know you got 14 multifamily, and I guess the rest are single family. What is it you're going to do now?
Sure. So my game plan now, moving forward in this year and then moving forward in the next few years, is we want to buy between single family and small multifamily at scale. Right now we're putting in 20 offers a month. So purchasing between 3 and 5 properties a month. And we're
so you want to continue in the smaller sized assets. Do you want to go with smaller?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So I thought that's what you said. Okay.
We're going to be flipping a lot of these properties to raise cap. We're going to hold on to the good ones, right? So we have a certain criteria. If it meets we want a cash flow of 500 per. So if it's a duplex, we've got a lot of duplexes, 2 units that we're cash flowing 500 a door. Mm-hmm. So those we're going to keep. But there's other ones that we're going to sell to raise our own capital and then start looking maybe the middle to the end of this year to get into a larger asset class.
Okay. And we talked about this and listen, there's nothing wrong with buying and rolling up into larger deals with your own money. And you're not sharing that money with anyone else. And certainly that's a model that works very well, and you're limited. Okay. You're only going to go as long as you have dollars. And right now, typically a multifamily asset of any size requires, 25, 30% down. And so, and with the average unit cost in the country up around 100 to 130,000 right now, that you'll run out of money very quickly. And so, one of the things I told Kyle here that maybe we'll do a little coaching as we go through this process together, because it's my belief that I'll take, a certain percentage of something over 100% of nothing any day. And so, once you get to that point, I'm not saying don't do what you're wanting to do, because I think it's a great idea to take that money and keep rolling it into larger assets. But once you run out of money, it'd be crazy to stop at that point, in my opinion. I think if you take the time to start building relationships now with potential joint venture partners, with potential investors, if you elect to syndicate, and you're able to put larger deals together, you can keep going, I guess, is the point that I'm making. And so, I hope you'll consider that, Kyle, because I really think that as motivated as you are and as impressive as you are with what you've done already, I'd hate to see a stall, frankly, because I think this next year is going to be one of the best years we've ever seen in this business. And so it's going to be some real opportunity. And the fact that you're finding deals with those kinds of margins up there right now, you don't want to stop. You want to capitalize on this while the getting's good. That's my 2 cents in that regard. In fact, you may even want to consider my Warrior program, frankly, because as I was telling you before we recorded, they're up over 50,000 doors right now. And I've only been teaching 4 years. We're averaging, I think they're closing on 1,000 to 2,000 a month right now. So it's
wow.
Crazy. They're really killing it. I'm really proud of it. But no, I'm not going to sell you, but just something for you to consider.
No,
if you want to get into larger deals and start raising money, it's an incredible ecosystem. But I want to tell you, I want to talk about something else that you talked about as well, where you quit your job to do this full time. And what's crazy, I just interviewed another young guy on the show that did the same thing. And my friend, the way I always approach that, because I get asked that all the time, should I quit my job and do it full time? And my answer is always no, unless, like you said, you've got some fallback. Now, you had not only the fallback of a financial cushion, but you also had the ability to go back to your job if it didn't work out. So that's my caveat on that, guys. So if you're listening and you're thinking about that, if you've got those two, situations where you have the ability to survive on your own cash for a while, and you have the ability to go back to whatever field you're in, then yeah, that may be a great idea. Here's the problem, though, is if you don't and you do it, you're going to have fear. And what does fear do? It paralyzes you. And so you're literally unable to do anything. And so that's the thing you want to avoid. But in your case, obviously it worked. And in the someone else I just interviewed yesterday, it absolutely worked as well. So, let me ask you this. I mean, you're in a, what market are you in again? You told me and I forgot, forgive me.
Yeah, we're in Northeast Wisconsin. So Green Bay area, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Nice. And you plan to stay fairly localized there?
I don't. Actually, there's a few different markets I'm looking at. So part of the hiring process that I've done, and when you ask me why I say we,
right,
I've brought on acquisitions specialist. So there's somebody now that's chasing deals for me. I've hired a project manager. So some people, and some would say, it's early on, and it is. It's early on, and people are probably wondering, how are you paying for these people? What this has done is forced me to get stronger in my acquisition side. I didn't really want to give up a lot of my rental income because, like I said, I only have, I don't have 1,000 units like you or, other of your students might have. So it forced me to get better deals so I could backload all of my employees on the acquisition side.
I'm sorry. Could you clarify what you just meant by that? Because it didn't make sense to me.
Sure. So from the acquisition side, so when we go in and we purchase this, let's say we purchase a duplex, we're forcing, let's say we would normally purchase at $60,000. Well, we're going to increase our volume of offers and say that what we would normally buy at $60,000, we're going to offer at $50,000 with higher volume in hopes that we get more of those $50,000 properties so that $10,000 gap can pay for my employees, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to coach you a little bit more on that. I will tell you that I would encourage you to incentivize more based on production than pay. That's my 2 cents there. I've owned 27 businesses that I've built. Few have been worth tens of millions of dollars. Many have been failing. They've failed, but I've learned a lot over the years. And the more you can incentivize based on production, the better you're going to be as it relates to what you're doing right now. And frankly, a lot of people would rather have pieces of deals too, rather than a big paycheck. So keep that in mind. I'm sure you've probably already thought about that, but I would encourage you to incorporate that as well. So, and I mean, these numbers you're throwing around as far as purchase prices are frankly staggering.
Yeah.
They're very, very low. And I would absolutely ramp that up as quickly as possible while they're still available, because, that's not what the rest of the country is selling for. It's much, much higher. And so you're also flipping. Are you going to continue to flip?
I am. Like I said, so we've got our little niche right here in the market where, like you said, that purchase price where we're buying anything from $50,000 to $80,000, and the value is, $150,000 to $170,000. So we're buying as fast as we possibly can. And, like we talked about with the syndication and raising funds, at this point, I'm not doing that. Certainly with your advice, I will look more into doing that. But at this current moment, we will continue to flip.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're only flipping single family, right? You're holding
Correct.
on to the multi that has good cash flow numbers. Well, I think that's a sound strategy. Again, in the smaller multifamily, it's going to take longer. That's all. I mean, you can do it. I've interviewed people on my show that are multimillionaires that did it one duplex at a time. It just takes longer. And candidly, it's about the same amount of work to buy something larger. And again, if you're out there telling everybody that'll hold still long enough what it is you're doing, and show them, because you've already got a track record built up, you don't have to fake it. A lot of my students, when they get started, we give them what's called a sample deal package, and they can show that to an investor and say, this is the stuff we're looking for. If we find something like this, are you interested? In your case, you can show them the deals you've already done, and get them involved and interested in juice. And even on the small side, but again, at some point you're going to run out of money, and that's the reason I wanted to share that. So, is real estate in your family as well, or it just got sparked by you going to that development class and being in the business?
Yeah, it's not in the family at all.
Okay.
It's just something that sparked my interest. It was really financial freedom thing, and I knew this was a good vehicle to do it. And then as I started getting going, it became a passion of mine. So
nice. Now, I just had another thought and I lost it. So the goal is you've got some numbers here. You want to have 500 doors by your 30th birthday. I actually believe you could easily do that on your own for sure. But if you want to get to 5,000, it's going to require outside capital. And so, I like that. Now, the fact that you had project management experience, by the way, in this multifamily business, there are lots of ways you can go about adding value to a team. And it really is for the most part, a team sport. You get into larger multifamily, 100 plus doors. It's very unusual to find anybody that does it, much of it on their own for the reasons we just defined. But, one of the pieces of multifamily investing in the larger, assets that I do the most of is asset management. And that's really just project management, frankly. It's managing the capital expenditures when you're fixing up a property. It's managing the ongoing, management of the asset. You're managing the property management companies. Now, are you managing these yourself now?
I'm not. No, I have a property manager doing all of it.
Fantastic. Oh, good for you. Well, that's really good too, because then you're not dealing with all that. Now, I will tell you very often, property management companies that deal in single family and small multi, it's somebody that's a broker that's doing it on the side, or it's somebody that's got a small company and they're typically not as sophisticated, and you really need to be careful. Because this is an ask me how I know thing. I've got shirts that I sell at my boot camp that say hashtag ask me how I know, because I've made every mistake in the book. And so, when you're dealing in the larger assets, you'll get very sophisticated, very tight, very well-run, systemized property management companies. In the asset class that you're in right now, that's unusual, very unusual. And so, and I encourage you to keep a very close eye on what they're doing. I'm sure you are, but very important that you do that. And I'll say something else on the smaller assets. It just triggered with me. And they may or may not be doing this, but a small management company is not going to visit the property that often. And so I'd encourage you to encourage them to have somebody on site that gets a couple bucks off the rent to take care of the place, pick up the trash, keep an eye on things, even in a duplex, maybe do the yard work, whatever, but do something where they're getting a little break to be your eyes on the property. That's a little tip for those of you that have small multifamily that are listening. It's a smart move. You should have somebody there that's got some ownership, even if it's $50 off of the rent a month or something, just to keep an eye on things. It helps. Yeah. And then, when you get into maybe a 20 unit asset or a 22 unit, then you can find an old retired couple. Those are like gold, where you get a guy that's got a contracting background in whatever trade, doesn't matter, electrical, plumbing, carpentry, doesn't matter. Somebody that did that his whole life. And then you've got his wife, and they're retired, and it's that wife that's in everybody's business. So she's sitting at the window with her binoculars, ratting everybody out. That is the perfect scenario for for an on-site team. You're doing them a favor and they're doing you a favor. They can manage the property. They can do minor repairs. The guy can, the woman can take care of things. It's just I've had that several times. It's fantastic dynamic. Do you have a family now, you say, or are you single? What's your personal situation?
Yeah. So I have a fiance, no kids. Getting married next July. So that, kind of in the works. May change a few things, but no, she's something that's been really helpful is she's backed me this whole time. She's been really supportive, and she's excited for me. No, it's good. It's definitely helpful. And I've learned from, just hearing a lot of other people talk about how their wife or husband or whatever significant other doesn't back them. And it's just tough. It's one of the things. It's one of the things I spend time on at my boot camps, because, and I even pull people in the audience and say, how did you get past that with someone that's not on board? And we talk about it, because I'll tell you, you need that foundationally. So you're blessed that she's already enrolled in it and behind you on it, because you can just go so much faster and so much further when you have that, when you come home to that. Very, very important. So, I asked you this before we started recording. Did you have any mentors? And I think you talked about somebody in the business. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Yeah. So like I had mentioned, I guess in the sense of an actual mentor, I didn't hire a coach or a
Right.
mentor. But I did have a guy, his name is Dave Zuski. He's a local realtor in our area.
Mhm.
And he really helped me with as far as contacts, learned a lot about the right funding and things like that. So he pushed me in the right direction, which definitely helped. He wasn't there to hold my hand, but he got things kicked off for me. And then, I'm very grateful.
Where did you meet him, and how did you develop that relationship? I think
Yeah.
that'll add value to my listeners.
Yeah, so I actually I found him. So I was just doing research online, trying to find a good realtor. I was struggling to find a good one, and ended up calling 10, 15 different people. And we probably talked for an hour on the phone, and half of it wasn't even about real estate. We just connected, and I knew that it was going to be a good thing. And he's an investor himself, so that helped me kind of with the comfort that he knew what he was doing, and he understood that we're going to go look at a lot of properties. We're going to offer on a lot of properties, and hopefully that volume outweighs the purchase price.
Okay, so you actually developed a business relationship with him as well. It wasn't just a mentor coaching you or helping you. It was a business relationship, but you leaned on that relationship for advice and so on and so forth. Got it. Okay, well that's awesome. So what motivates you, brother? What juices you? What gets you to jump out of bed in the morning to go do this?
Yeah, I would say, there's a lot of small motivating factors, but I would say the biggest one is that, I come from a small town, and I see a lot of people get stuck in the rut, and I find this thing that's developed inside me, and it's pretty tough to explain, but there's just like this burn to continue to push and build this success. And I've said to many of my friends and other people, like, I want to raise my level of success, but I also want to build this team. I just feel that, I'm a Christian guy, so I believe that God put me on this earth to do something very powerful. And I want to bring people with me. I don't want to get to the top and be there alone. It's just building a team and building a structure and giving people a good workplace. I think that's really what makes me, at this current stage of my life, I think that's what makes me tick.
That's fantastic, brother. I got to tell you, the fact that you answered the question that way means success is inevitable, because power moves to those who serve and want to make the world a better place. I tell people we've got two hands, one to pull ourselves up and one to pull people up underneath us. And the fact that you answered the question that way is very impressive. At your age, I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. I talk about it. I won't bore you with it now, but the point is,
I appreciate it.
That's very, very impressive. So, we've got a lot of listeners that haven't taken action yet. Okay. Young like you. Okay. And that haven't taken action yet out of fear or analysis paralysis or maybe some limiting beliefs they have about themselves, fear of failure, fear of rejection, whatever. There's so many reasons. Maybe they're comfortable and they just are, afraid to get out of comfort to go build the life they really know they deserve. What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah. And while you're going through this, I'm going back to Kyle 2 years ago and what I wish I known then. And I think the best way to get rid of the fear and anxiety of getting into your first deal is, finding somebody like you that is a mentor, somebody that can put you in the position that has done it and, not necessarily hold your hand through it, but at least tell you things to look out for. When I did my first one, you can only read so many books. There's an application side of this thing that if you don't apply, it's very difficult for me to learn. Maybe other people learn differently, but I need the application side to learn. And if you find a mentor early on, it will help remove a lot of those fears.
It basically shortens the learning curve is really what it is what it does. I tell people you're paying for speed. You can do it on your own, but if you can do it in 5 to 7 years on your own, and that's about what it would take, 2 to 3 with me, or with someone like me. It doesn't have to be me or any mentor.
Sure.
Like you found a local mentor that you didn't have to pay anything. You just built a relationship. And that's why I wanted to expand on that, because, those of you listening, you can go to your local meetup groups and meet people that are doing this business. And very often you'll find some old dog that's done it forever, forgotten more about it than you and I will ever know. And they're happy to help you. And so, it's about networking. It's about building those relationships. And I just heard an awesome definition of world-class networking. And that was having an incredible curiosity about whoever it is you're talking to. And I thought, what an awesome definition, because when you do that, and show them how interested you are in them, they really want to, have a relationship with you. People love talking about themselves, right? It's like the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie's book. And, you take a genuine interest in someone and they think it's the greatest conversation they've ever had because they're the ones doing all the talking. But anyway, I'm blabbering. So, and what I want to tell you, like I mentioned earlier, Kyle, is you've been doing this yourself, but you've been bringing people in on the construction side and building this team out of your pocket, which is admirable, a little dangerous, I will add. Just ask me how I know, but sure. And that's why I would encourage you to try to get people that are incentivized in some fashion where you can minimize your outlay and have them be paid on production as much as possible. But just keep in mind that this multifamily game, this larger multifamily game, requires a team. And my most successful students are the ones that will take whatever their superpower is, like in your case, it would be project management, construction experience, your drive, and bring that to a team. Like maybe, maybe align with someone that's super analytical, or maybe you're the analytical one. I don't know what your superpower is, but align, a lot of super partnerships, or someone that's analytical with someone that's outgoing. That's the most common one I see in this business. And that's mine, for example. And I've had, other guys your age in their 20s. I had 3 guys in here. I forgot what I called it. I think I called it young rock stars. I had 3 guys. And they had about 100 million in assets, or more than that now. I know they had, because I know who they are now, but 100 million in assets between them. And it was every one of those partnerships was an analytical person with an outgoing person. It was just because this business is primarily empirical. It's primarily numbers. And, somebody got the numbers down and someone else is asking all the questions and building the relationships with brokers and investors and sellers and so on and so forth, vendors. That's a absolute recipe for success when everybody's playing to their strengths. So anyway, let me see if I've got any other questions. Do you have any quotes that you like? Anything that drives you? Yeah.
I don't know about necessarily quotes. I guess, I don't know. I'm not really sure if I can.
No worries. You mentioned some books that you like. I think, we could, I had one more question. Tell me about any like epiphanies that you had as you started getting into this business, any aha moments, as you were working through, you bought a house, or you bought a duplex, as you were working through, the last few years or 16 months, even any epiphanies, any like, holy cow, now I get it kind of moments.
Yeah, definitely. And it's actually happened here within the last few months. And it's not so much on the actual performance of real estate investing. It's more so on the belief on myself. I actually was having a conversation with my fiance 2 nights ago, and I came upstairs from my office and I was talking to her, and I said, literally everything that I'm thinking about is all my belief in myself. If I only put 3 or 5 properties, if I get 3 to 5 properties a month, that's the only reason I'm getting that is because that's all I want. What do I have to do to get 10? What do I have to do to get 15, 20, or 1,000 units this year? It's, to me, all the issues that are going to come with 1,000 are going to come with 1. And I think if I just continue to pivot, my problem, whether it's raising funds, construction, brokers, whatever my problem is, they're always going to be there, whether it's 1 or 1,000. So it's, I think my epiphany, if you will, is think bigger, quicker. And I'm starting to kind of get into that.
We all have these boxes that we live in. Okay. These financial constraints, and they're all mental. They're really all mental. And maybe you've heard it say, we make what we must make. And so when you elevate these mental limits you place on yourself, they're very often subconscious, but you identify them, you look in the mirror, you get real with yourself, and you identify these subconscious barriers and just eliminate the damn box. Okay. I think that's kind of the epiphany that you had, because you're right. Yeah. It's the same amount of freaking work. It absolutely is the same amount of work. And I mean, I know people that bought, a few thousand doors in a few years. Okay. So it's the same amount of work. But, well, listen, brother, this has been a real treat for me. And mainly because I've been the one doing a lot of the talking, because I've been preaching a little bit here, but it's been a treat for me to have you on the show. You're very impressive. I know you're going to be an incredible success. And I know that you inspired some people that were listening. So I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you, Rod, for having me.
Absolutely. Talk to you later. Thanks.
All right.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345, and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345.